Hello everyone, my name is Putty and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling The Return. As I have taken to calling it in some promotional material, we are back for Super Showdown! I have missed saying that. Indeed, there has been a little bit more development on the monetary front. First of all, it doesn't say it here anymore, which means I'm worried that he has changed his mind. But Sam Keith was working for free for a little while, which was useful. I've also done a reformat, I suppose, of the contract structure of the entire promotion. I say the entire promotion. I've had 6 people who are here get new deals. So essentially, everyone in the promotion is working on a deal when you start that includes travel costs. This isn't a generally big problem because I think everybody in the promotion, aside from one, works in the Mid-Atlantic. The one guy who doesn't, Greg Gage. Greg Gage has had a new contract. But furthermore, though, all the guys that I took off of the travel costs program also got a new deal that was a little bit lower in money, like wage, than the old contract, and that meant giving them some certain benefits. So, like Greg Gage, I think I saved $200 an appearance on his contract, but he now has creative control, hiring veto. He's considered an icon, all these things. So it's generally just a restructure in the contract situation. So moving on, this show there's not too much. We got some fallout from the title match in the last show. Also in the last show, Cheetah Boy beat George Wolfe due to distraction from Miller Ford, which was a big deal for him. Maybe we'll get some reaction to that in this episode, and hopefully we won't lose a ton of money. So we start off the show with Roderick Remus coming out and saying, Greg, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this bullshit with you. The first match we had, I got concussed. You waltz around the place like you're the champion. Second match we had, my foot's on the rope, and you walk around like you're the champion. I'm sick of it. And tonight I'm gonna get on my road to another title shot because we are going to have a super showdown. We are going to have a massive tag team match. And I'm going to team with the dominant big bad wolf, George Wolfe, to take on you and Cheetah Boy. And I'm going to win. And we are going to march onwards towards another title shot. So we get to the opening match of the evening, the filler match, as Hal Harvard defeats Josh Jacobs with a forward Russian leg sweep. And after the match, Hal Harvard takes his time to head to the announcer's booth and just check their paperwork. Ask them, hey, have you filed your taxes out this year? Just, have a little chat about taxes. Hal's into that kind of stuff. As we move on to Miller Ford versus the Architect, as the Architect defeats Miller Ford by submission with a blueprint after blatantly cheating. The Architect's also going to get a new gimmick, Prima Donna, just self-centered individual. So yeah, during the match, he's just, doesn't really give a shit about Miller Ford, concentrating on himself. Every time he does a big move, he claps for himself. He just does a vertical suplex, and he spends the entire time just clapping, yay, I did a vertical suplex, guys. And after the match, the Architect picks up the mic and says, I just beat Miller Ford. And Miller Ford beat George Wolfe. So you know what? George Wolfe, I am the architect of your destruction. If I can beat Miller Ford, then I can beat you. And then backstage, George Wolfe gets on the mic with an interviewer and says, Architect, you think you can beat me just because you beat Miller Ford? What Miller Ford did to me was an upset. It was a fluke. And next month I'm going to prove that because I get my rematch with Miller Ford. And an Americana we will have. The rematch. The long-anticipated rematch. Can George Wolfe cleanse his demons? Can he beat the man who beat him? One of the rare people, only 3 or 4 people in MAW has beaten George Wolfe. Miller Ford is one of them. Cheetah Boy is another. There were a few big-name outsiders during the Ripcord Invitational 2015 and 14 that managed to get victories, but George Wolfe is a tough man to beat. And we're going to see if George can win the return match next month. And Sid Collier, with his partner not here tonight, takes the opportunity to prove that he is not a weak link, that he is not the undervalued member of the team. He goes out there and defeats Bradley Blaze with a Texas Cloverleaf, handily dispatching of the young lad. And, just leaves kissing his Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship and kind of shouting, yeah, I'm the guy, I'm the man. This is his opportunity to prove that he is a valuable singles wrestler, and he had so much value to the Dynamite Express. Let's not forget, Sid Collier is a smart wrestler, very, very smart wrestler, and this was a very smartly wrestled match. Lots of grappling, lots of dangerous submission moves, and despite the fact that sometimes he gets a little twisted up in his own body, Sid Collier is a very clever wrestler, and he can pull off some of the most dastardly wrestling plans you'll have ever seen. And in our main event of the evening, George Wolfe and Roderick Ramus defeated Greg Gage and Cheetah Boy in 25 minutes when George Wolfe defeated Cheetah Boy with a running power slam. In terms of in-ring work, Greg Gage was carrying the match, and Cheetah Boy, in his new memesy render, was indeed the weak link. If you're asking why I got that render, by the way, it's not even a render I got, it's in the database. It's his US Pro gimmick, and I thought it just looks so memesy and funny that I don't love Cheetah Boy, so it's like, sure, let's give it a go. And quite frankly, I'm quite a big fan. And this match is, we went long on it, so we could take up some time with some guys who are going to be on the card anyway. There's a lot of money in this match. There's there's over $3,000 worth of salary in this main event match, so I wanted to take up a lot of time. Made sure that the guys in it were definitely worth getting bang for our buck out of these guys, if you know what I mean. And I imagine it was quite indie-rific. There was lots of flips and kicks and shit like that, and you just had Cheetah Boy was the weak link, so I imagine he actually wasn't doing too well tonight. I was imagining he was going to do some fast-paced, lucha action, jump to the top rope, do a few flips and cross bodies and such to elevate the pace a bit, but he probably just botched a few of those, as Greg Gage and Roderick had a bit of a grapple fest, and hopefully George Wolfe just gave... Maybe Cheetah Boy got to sell for George Wolfe as he beat the ever-loving shit out of him, and definitely there was a different atmosphere in this match than we had last month when we had George Wolfe versus Cheetah Boy, because while last month was a bit two-sided, it was very open. There was definitely a ebb and flow to last month's match. This time, whenever George Wolfe and Cheetah Boy were in the ring together, it was very one-sided. George Wolfe seems like a man possessed at the moment. Ever since that defeat to Cheetah Boy last month, he's definitely been on a bit of a wrecking path. He looks angry, he looks vicious, and every time he's in there with Cheetah Boy, he's just kicking the shit out of him, and very aggressively trying to keep Cheetah Boy down for the count. And in the end, it is indeed George Wolfe who defeats Cheetah Boy. Those are the two guys in the finish. So, whether or not George Wolfe would beat Cheetah Boy in a singles match these days, I don't know. But he definitely looks a lot more dangerous than the George Wolfe that got beat by Cheetah Boy last month. And we don't see a lot from Greg and Roderick in this match. So they, of course, have the maybe a 10-minute grapple exhibition in the middle, but largely it's very two-sided. It's very open. You don't really get to see a one-upsmanship. And even though Greg is 2-0 in their series, in their singles series, I still think that in all of their interactions throughout their time in MAW, it's very obvious that they're very evenly matched. And I wonder who's going to come out on top in the end. After the match, we have an angle where George Wolfe and Roderick Ramus try to beat up Cheetah Boy. I don't know how Greg Gage is dealing right now. He probably is selling on the outside, or he's gone to the back and didn't notice Cheetah Boy was still out there. But eventually George Wolfe, still possessed, still angry with Cheetah Boy, just grabs Cheetah Boy and throws him into the ring, starts beating the shit out of him. Roderick's there, he's like, you know what, I don't like Cheetah Boy either, he's a bit of a bastard, and starts beating the shit out of him too. And then out comes Miller Ford, who tosses Roderick over the top rope, incensing Roderick, and then suddenly Cheetah Boy manages to get a kick off on George Wolfe, and it's 2-on-1, Cheetah Boy and Miller Ford taking on George Wolfe, and George Wolfe, he's a big lad, he can take on pretty much anyone one-on-one, but he's not an idiot. 2-on-1 is a bit too many odds for George, and he gets out of there. But he's embarrassed and he's incensed. And if you think that the George Wolfe that beat the shit out of Cheetah Boy tonight was an angry, dominating individual, well, I think it's about to get a hell of a lot worse as he faces Miller Ford in a singles match at Americana. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope we don't go bankrupt. And I will see you guys for Americana. Peace out.